lesson today, we are continuing our dilation journey and doing the opposite of what we did yesterday. Yesterday, we made an object bigger, right? We enlarged something. In this lesson today, we will be using some shrinking potion. Just kidding. We're going to use math to reduce an image and use the reduction type of dilation. So we're going to do the exact same process. We're going to first graph an image, apply a scale factor, and then see that we have shrunk the image down. So let's go ahead and get started with our very first example. Our first example today says that we have a rectangle and we will be dilating with a scale factor of 0.5 or 1/2. So we will use dilation with a scale factor of 0.5. Okay, if you remember yesterday, they used the letter K. K equals 0.5. That's just a fancy way of saying scale factor of half. Okay, so here are the points that we need to plot first. It says W equals -4, -4, -6. So our first dot is at -4, -6. X is at -4, 8. Y is at 4, 8. And Z is at 4, -6. So let's go ahead and we're going to graph this image first, and then from there we will apply the shrinking potion. All right, let me get my pen, and we will draw our axes here. My Y, my X. All right, now we are ready to start plotting points. So -4, -6, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -6. That one is W. And then we're at -4, 8. So I'm going to go over to -4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ooh, 8 is right on the edge. Living on the edge. This one is X. All right, and 4, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Up to 8. This is a big image. This one is Y. And Z is at 4, -6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This one is Z. Now we're going to connect our lines so that we can reveal our giant rectangle. Our giant living rectangle that we have here. If your points went off the paper, that's totally fine, as long as you can identify where they are and get the general idea. If you need to count by 2s in order to make this happen, count by 2s. Just remember that when you graph your second image that you counted by 2s. Okay? All right, so if you notice, we have this giant, huge rectangle. We're going to dilate this by shrinking, and we're going to shrink it down by 1/2. So we're going to take each point and we're going to multiply them by 1/2 in order to get the next part. So if I started with -4, I'm going to multiply it by 0.5, and that gives me -2. -6 times 1/2, or half of -6, is -3. So my image of W is -2, -3. Again, same thing, -4 times 1/2 is going to give me -2. And negative, what am I doing? Oh, it's a +8. 8 times 1/2 is going to give me 4. And that one is image of X. And then we have good old Y. So I have 4 times 1/2, which gives me 2. And 8 times 1/2, and that's going to give me 4. And last but not least, I have 4 times 1/2. That one is 2. Oh, I forgot to write my Y. 2. And my next one, -6 times 1/2 is -3. Okay, so I've got Z, my image Z. Let's go ahead and graph this now. My first point I'm going to plot is at -2, -3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And then -2, 4, -2, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I'm at 2, 4, over 2, up 4. And then C is 2, -3. 2, -3, and that's C. Okay, I have a total now of, there is no total, Miss Cylinder. I now have a little square, a little rectangle. Oh, look at this little baby rectangle. Is he so cute? Oh, he's so cute. Okay, there you go. It's a dilation, but a reduction. You've taken these points on the outside and you've pushed them in until you get this little teeny tiny image on the inside. It could be reduced again and again and again until it hits the origin. But if you notice, if we were to draw a line from the origin, all of your points still line up from your center of dilation. They just happen to span every quadrant this time. Okay, it's time for another example. So I'm going to turn the page to give that one to you. This example that we are doing is going to be, oh my gosh, another rectangle. Yesterday we just, or like all of our last few lessons have all been triangles. And today we are doing all rectangles. Okay, so we have this, and the scale factor again is 1/2. So they're doing it by 1/2 again. I wish they would do it by something different. Interesting. Okay, so we're going to do the scale factor. Actually, I'm going to switch this. I'm going to do your try it instead as the next example, and then give you the next example as your try it. Okay, ignore me, but don't ignore me. Okay, so we're going to use the same rectangle that we used in our last problem. So here's example B. We're going to use the same, but this time we're going to use a scale factor of 1/4. So we're going to take 1/4 of something. We're doing it this way because I want you to have an extra example of this, not just 2 1/2 examples. Okay, so we're going to create a rectangle from the points. W is -4, -6. X, again, is -4, 8. Y, because we need to do math. Y is going to be 4, 8. And Z is going to be 4, -6. Okay, so our job is to find a scale factor of 1/4. So we're going to take 1/4 of each of these numbers, or 0.25. So you can convert this into a decimal if you want when you multiply, or you can multiply by fractions, whatever you are most comfortable with. Fractions tend to not work very well on a calculator sometimes, but it's totally up to you. That is not the middle of that. Okay, so we're going to go to -4, -6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, 5, 6. W. -4, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, 4, 8. -4, -6, and that one is Z. Okay, now we're just recreating that same rectangle from the first example, and we're going to make a smaller rectangle. We're going to shrink it even more this time. Instead of a half, we're going to shrink it by 1/4. So we're going to shrink it down 1/4 of the size. Okay, so I want to know what is 1/4 of 4. So we're going to have 1/4 of 4, or -4, I mean, times 0.25. Okay, or you can just divide by fractions if you want, but that's going to give us -1. Okay, and then -6 times 0.25, or 1/4 of -6. 1/4 of -6 is going to give us 1.5, or -1.5. Okay, so we'll talk about how to graph that 1/2 here in just a second. Okay, this one we have -4, and we're going to multiply that by 0.25. Again, we get a -1. And then 8, 1/4 of 8, or 8 times 0.25. That gives us 2. 4, 8. So we're going to go 4 times 0.25. 1/4 is 1. And 8 times 0.25 gives us 2. And then last but not least, we are on 4 times 0.25, or 1/4 of 4 again, which is 1. And then we're at -6 times 0.25, and that gives us -1.5. Okay, let's go ahead and graph this, and then we will see what the image looks like. So -1 and -1/2. So we're going to go over -1, and we're going to go down to 1, and then go between 1 and 2. And just put our dot, and this one is W1, or image of W. See how my dot is between 1 and 2? Halfway between. The next one, -1, -2. So -1, -2. Ooh, look how small this thing is. This is X, the image of X. The image of Y is going to be 1, 2. And the image of Z, 1, -1.5. We're going to connect these dots. And notice how teeny tiny this square is now, or this rectangle, right? It's even smaller than the last one we just did. All right, it's your turn now to use some shrinking potion and do a dilation that has a scale factor of 1/2. Okay, so you're going to multiply by a half. The points that you are going to use are J is -4, 2. K is 4, 2. JKL is 4, -2. And M is -4, -2. All right, so go ahead and dilate these. Shrink these points for me. Hit pause so you don't hear me solving, and then when you are ready, you may come on back and hit play and check your understanding. All right, so I'm going to graph this. Not a steady hand today. There is not a steady hand in sight. Okay. All right, we are going to graph this. Much better. Much, much better. All right, J is -4, 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and +2. Dot J. K is 4, 2. L is 4, -2. M, -4, -2. And our job now is to shrink this down by a half. So we're going to cut all of these points in half. So half of -4, half of -4 becomes -2. Half of 2 is 1. Half of 4 is 2. Half of 2 is 1. Half of 4 is 2. Half of -2 is -1. And -4 cut in half is -2. And -2 cut in half is -1. All right, so we're going to go -2, 1, -2, 1, 2, 1, over 2, up 1, 2, -1, and -2, 1. Notice you have an even smaller rectangle within. You have reduced it. You have shrunk this rectangle down. All right, go ahead and answer your essential question of how do you dilate an image with reduction? And then put your level of understanding out to the side. Where are you at with this lesson? When you are ready, you can either come on back to the Google Meet and ask for help if you need it, or you can go and do your practice work. As always, I appreciate all of your hard work and effort, and make it a great day.